Hello, welcome back. Today we'll be talking about current global events and some history. So, current global events. Russia is currently at war in Ukraine. A large population of the residents that live in the countrysides of Ukraine have lost lives fighting and acting with the forwardness of independence from the grasps of Russia. Ukraine, Georgia, Lithuania, Belarus, and Kazakhstan, and 8 other former Russia proxy Soviet states have somewhat gone under current influence based upon the current Russia. Russia was once called the Soviet Union. After the Soviet Union collapsed, shortly after the Berlin Wall fell, some theories would suggest the fall of the Soviet Union was caused by Russia's failure in the U.S. competitive space race. When the Soviet Union fell apart, 11 new countries were formed. Russia's president is named Vladimir Putin. Putin was once a KGB agent under the Soviet Union. Putin saw the fall of the Soviet Union a major geopolitical disaster, misplacing a vast amounts of Russian patriots outside Russia's borders. Putin saw that as a major embarrassment and a defeat. Russia annexed Crimea in 2011. He sent thousands of Russians dressed as Ukrainians, and that coup eventually unfolded. Crimea was annexed, and the Russian military stated it was a Crimean voluntary ideology that was wanted and needed by the request of the Crimeans. But the Ukrainian government and sources and interviews on first-account witnesses and survivors could beg to differ. As Ukraine fights for its liberty, Russia fights for the unification back to the glory days of the Soviet Union. Major countries across the globe have provided many types of aid, from humanitarian aid, from individual sources, financial aid, from major countries, weapons and artillery and vehicles, and many tanks from the UK, US, Canada, and France, and 9 other countries. No troops have been deployed because Ukraine isn't a NATO war, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member. And most and foremost, Ukraine isn't a Commonwealth member. Under no circumstances should be no Commonwealth blood or NATO blood troops or NATO troops bloodshed. The Ukrainian war is not our battle. My beliefs would differ if Ukraine was a NATO ally, because an attack on one of us would be considered an attack on all of us. Russia said if Ukraine were to undergo NATO membership, that would be considered an act of war. A Ukrainian citizen once said, "Peace my ass." I am for free Ukraine. Ukraine lost the Donbass region earlier this year. Resistance has been brutal, yet strong. Ukraine is running out of men. The Ukrainian government started sending draft notices to young men who should return to Ukraine to help and protect its liberty and independency. Many countries have given immunity to citizens from Ukraine and will not force any Ukrainian refugee misplaced by war to return to Ukraine. To fight or physically undergo no means necessary. While this has been going on, tensions are rising. Major countries around the globe towards panic. The South China Sea is on constant high alert. China is making man-made military islands in the South China Sea. The CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP also claimed new maritime borders back to its former days, back when the Silk Road was very well known and controlled by the past Chinese party. Most of the countries that dispute China's unlawful maritime border lands are protected by an alliance. Allies, for example, South Korea is protected from North Korea by allies and unions. Taiwan is protected from China by the United States of America. For some reason, I just thought of 9/11 victims who suddenly had instant death without getting the chance to think, I don't want to die. It's sad. Some events, well, most events in past tense, have undergone traumatic and treacherous defeat, and many loss of lives were dealt with. Nope, that was wrong. Let me rephrase. Many lives were lost, and we will grow from that and acknowledge war is wrong. Thousands of prisoners, victims of war, arrived at Auschwitz by train. The train carts brought thousands of Jews, or Hebrews, to concentration camps. Many first-hand experience stories are passed down through generations. For example, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, or The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, or that really good novel that was very explanatory, called Anna Steinberg. A well-written shared story is When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit by Judith Keir. It's important and critical to put you and your relations of allies and those whom you love and trust first. Because, like what RuPaul once said, if you can't help yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? This has been Opinionated Moments with Drayden. See you next time. And then I wrote, I'm such a big bitch. I'm such a big bitch. There's so much I didn't mention in my previous remarks. A lot of history and facts should have been included. And I need... Oh, that's private. Okay. Anyways, thank you. This has been Current Global Events with Drayden and some history. Thank you. Ciao.